let's get into talking Chiefs. So we covered it all with the Pats.
Let's go. Mm-hmm.
Let's get into talking Chiefs. So those of you that may have missed the finale to Sunday night, good game, tight game, 22-17 the final. Kansas City pulls off the win on the road in Atlanta. Their defense stepping up yet again, which is just like a rollover from their Super Bowl run of that Steve Spagnuolo defense. But everyone's looking at that key moment. 3rd and 5 from the Chiefs 6. About 4 minutes to go in the game. And Kirk Cousins with an end zone shot to Kyle Pitts. Incomplete, but Kyle Pitts absolutely smothered by the Chiefs safety.
Yep.
Now you go back a week and the Chiefs were bailed out by a failed 4th down conversion by DPI called on the Bengals cornerback, and it was straight DPI. People are like, it's defensive pass interference. Don't let it skew because it's the Chiefs. Defender got there before the ball did. Textbook by the book, great call.
Yep.
This one wasn't called. And that's where it gets people so you call it against the Bengals and it's the right call. Like people may hate the outcome, but it was the right call.
Yep.
But then you don't call it against the Chiefs. I think it speaks to a bigger matter. That's the issue, is that how subjective that penalty is and how subjective that rule is. And these referees, it's a fast game. It happens so fast. They tried doing the review rule back in 2020 for defensive pass interference.
Yeah.
And the refs basically did like a silent protest of they're not overturning any calls because they have to protect their job. The solution, the NFL won't want to admit it, is there. I'm mad this DPI wasn't called because it would have set the Falcons up on the Chiefs' doorstep, fresh set of downs. They likely win. It's just tough because it happened against the Chiefs. That's why everyone's even more significant angry at this one.
Yes, 100%. And what's kind of funny about this, I was reading some of the comments online because you see the screenshot of this. It's a complete bear
Not
hug.
even turning around for the ball.
Yes.
Hugging him before the ball's even in the frame.
You're right. And that's the part that's kind of funny because people are being sarcastic about it online. They're saying like, no way. He totally was turned. He was making a play on the ball. Obviously, stuff like that. Like, look what he's doing. Oh yeah. Like no way. But I think like, in a way, too, people are like, this is the Taylor Swift effect. Like, it's Taylor Swift's team. This would happen to everybody. Like, any other team would have been called except for Taylor Swift's team. But
it's Patrick Mahomes' team.
It's Patrick Mahomes' team. And we could go over and over this a million times. But, yes, I think it's fair to say that this was poor officiating. This was kind of biased in a way, too, because it's just like, wow, that is blatant. Call it.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for fans to watch this, I'm sure, because it's like, and you've seen games where you're like, okay, the officials, the referees totally dictated the way this game went. Like that's kind of what this moment was for fans watching at home. And like to be a voice for those fans, it's frustrating because yes, it should have been called.
And it should have been called. It would give them a fresh set of downs. And then 4th and 5, they're faced with where a pass just flutters to Drake London's feet.
Yeah.
I don't know what the read is. I think Darnell Mooney should have cut across the middle, probably on an option route on a slant and caught that and got open.
Yeah.
But you just see how it happened. Like, that's not called.
Yep.
And that is something where it wasn't even like it was a schemed up, throw the ball up, hopefully we get a DPI and it gets us downfield. That was Kirk Cousins on 3rd and 5 going with the end zone shot. Kyle Pitts doing his thing, trying to make a play on the ball. The D-back all over him. And again, you go back a week before. DPI was called against the Bengals. That set up the Chiefs for the game-winning field goal. This time around doesn't happen. You could say it's a Mahomes effect. Maybe it's true. It's just, to me, it's the bigger issue is like the officiating. It's been bad all season. And I'll bring up the rule they had because it was after the Saints got screwed out of their playoff run in 2019. An egregious defensive pass interference not called. So they said, all right, we'll put it in a review the next season. Basically, the referees they'll never admit they're wrong. Like even the guys that get paid all the bucks to be the official in the booth that helps out these broadcasts always sides with the refs. They're never, it's a weird silent brotherhood where they're never going to say they're wrong.
No.
And if you bring this review back, it'll be the same thing. What the NFL's answer, what they can do, and obviously they have the budget as a multi-billion-dollar business, they can go with God's eye, the eye in the sky, where they would have an independent official in the booth. A play like that happens, they quickly review it. They have the close-up angles, what we see at TV, and they get in the main ref's ear, no, overturn it, throw a flag right now. That's defensive pass interference. But that means he's overstepping on the refs down on the field, and they will never allow that to happen. The integrity of the game, which is, it's better off if you go that way. The NFL will never want to admit they're wrong, and there's a weird protection of these refs that they're going to keep going with that.
And you're right. And I'm gonna speak to the production side of things. Like doing an official review for a referee is easy. All you have to do, you can have every angle possible. Granted, like the college scale might not have the capacity to do that, but in a multi-billion-dollar franchise industry like professional football, Major League Baseball, like you can afford the equipment for official review. That is perfect.
Yeah.
And every angle that your eyes can't see, a camera should be able to. So you're right to this point. Like, it's so easy. All you need to do is get the call from the ref to say, we need to see that again. And then the production team gets to work. You set up the official review and you play it for them. And it's easy. They can play it in slow motion. They can play it front, back, sideways, whatever you need. It is so freaking easy to make sure you see how a play should be called.
Yeah.
So that's why this is frustrating to me, because there's a screenshot circulating online where this is terrible pass interference. And just so we can like take it back to the basics here, pass interference, a foul that occurs when a player interferes with an eligible receiver's ability to make a fair attempt to catch a forward pass. This was BS because he wasn't even making a play on the ball. He was making a play on the human, and it's frustrating. It's just frustrating when you know how easy it can be to make this call.
And that's what it is. Of like, that should have been thrown. Like, obviously you have the eyes on there, and they were saying at the same time there was the pool report, because an official will talk with one beat reporter that covers the Falcons, which I think is the most classic thing too. Like, you're going to talk to one person.
Yeah.
Just like 2 or 3, because some people will catch something someone else isn't saying. It feels like it's in such a limited capacity to like in and out on the fly. But anyhow, for them to basically say, well, the refs didn't have the vantage point, and that's why that call was stuck. That's why they didn't discuss it. They didn't overturn it after discussion on the field. You can't review defensive pass interference. If it was called or if it wasn't called, you can't review it either way. So that's a rule there.
Yeah.
But basically, like, oh, we didn't have the right angle or vantage point.
Yeah, that's where...
This is a Sunday night football game
What?
between the Chiefs and the Falcons. You want your A team on this officiating it. If it's not the Monday night game, you want your best officials on the field and the officials to make the right play, because that's what it is. Where what was a great game, 22-17 final, with 2 teams, one in the AFC, one in the NFC, that can make a lot of noise. Actually, both in the Chiefs or AFC, excuse me. That can make a lot of noise and make a deep playoff run. And if anything, for people too to say for the Chiefs, like, if you're the NFL, what's a better storyline of what's going to turn people off? The Chiefs sucking, or the Chiefs just continuing to dominate, and the Falcons also making their step forward, especially after last week's upset win over the Eagles in Philly? Like, there's interest in this one. There's, people make the joke of the script writers. If they're script writers, like, you want the Chiefs to struggle out of the gates and lose a game like this and then keep it going and have it continually. But now the Chiefs are 3-0 as normal. And then the Falcons are 1-2 after struggling in week 1. It went so many ways, and we're talking about this instead of that game that was great. And I would like to point out, it was 4th and inches. Falcons had 2 timeouts. They're on the Chiefs 12, I believe, in Chiefs territory. They needed literally half the distance of the football to get a fresh set of downs. With 2 timeouts and just over 50 seconds left, they decided to run the ball laterally. Chiefs defense stuffs them. The Falcons had another shot. They obviously needed 6, not 3, so it doesn't matter where they were. They had that opportunity, but again, this moment takes from that.
Yeah, and something else I wanted to point out, how many primetime spots the Chiefs have this season. I believe it's 5. So they had their season opener on a primetime slot. 2 appearances on Sunday Night Football, and then 2 appearances on Monday Night Football. And the list could potentially grow as well.
Yeah, they could get flexed into a Sunday night or Monday night game, which we've seen happen.
That's so much primetime coverage. So if you don't have the right angle, then you got to fix your primetime coverage. And that's where I'm saying
you spoke about the video production. When you have those primetime games, you have more cameras in the building.
Exactly my point. And that's why it's like frustrating. It's like that in my brain, I'm like, I know if you have a primetime football game in your facility, you are going to do everything possible to make this an easy production for it's not going to be easy, but you want it to be seamless, and you want the capabilities to be A1 for your team, because everybody's watching and you need to get it right. So that's why it's almost frustrating. Because it's like, first of all, what facility were they playing this game in? The
Falcons.
Yeah, that's like what, the number 2 facility? Number 1 facility?
It's one of the best stadiums in the country, in the league,
Yeah, so you best believe that their coverage is even better.
Yeah.
So that's production side of me is like, come on.
No, but you do think of that, and I agree. Like, it's a Sunday night game. This isn't the like D-level squad. This isn't a Patriots-Chargers matchup on a rainy Sunday in New England where the final it's just like you have your top booth, you have a network, not a like secondary network on this covering. It's like, it's NBC. This is their baby. This is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
You want calls like this to go the right way. It turns people off. It
You're
does.
right. And that's what I'm kind of like thinking about, because the more, like, I love sports, obviously, but the more like the media grows around sports, the more productional value increases over the years. It's like, you need to get this right. So that's why I'm kind of disappointed for them to say, oh, we didn't have like the right angle, right vantage
Awful.
point. It's like, well, the time has never been better for football to be broadcast. So if you have something that's not working, then let's figure it out, because this is a frustrating call. I think a lot of people are leaning towards the fact that officials are being Kansas City biased.
Yep.
And if this continues, they really need to kind of break the trend here to get away from that mentality as fans.